Well, hello. Welcome back to another XUnit live stream. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whenever you happen to be watching this. For me, it is Saturday, August 21st, 2021. Yes, I had to look down at the taskbar to remember what day it was, what date it was. I know what day it is. It is noon 30 here in Seattle. And today we're going to get together and I know I really need to get the V3 runner stuff done. But something came up, like somebody had closed a PR on analyzers, and it occurred to me that in all of these things that I've done, I've never done one for the analyzers, and there's quite a PR backup on the analyzer side going back, I don't know, close to 4 years. They're not, and we'll talk about when we look at the code. It's going to be a little bit challenging for sure. So let's go ahead and get right into it. First, let's talk about Myga. So you probably know, but maybe you don't know, there is a Myga Gallery for XUnit. myga.org/gallery/XUnit. This is where all of our CI builds are pushed. We don't push anything to NuGet until we're ready for mass consumption. And so, for example, you'll see here we pushed a few 2.4.2 builds 2 years ago when we thought maybe we were going to do another V2 release. But in particular, XUnit Analyzers is here. You can see the last time we touched XUnit Analyzers was 2 months ago. So it's not totally dormant in terms of being worked on. Although, in terms of actual features, I don't know how much has actually gone in, other than occasionally throwing a PR in there, right? So if you drill through to XUnit Analyzers, here you can see from the NuGet console or from NuGet XE, from .NET CLI, here are all the ways that you could install this package, including needing to specify a source. And so this source is one that I put in all of my projects that have dependencies. So this is how I get all the pre-release builds. I just put it in NuGet config, although obviously you can specify this here on the command line just like this. That also works. One thing I noticed when I drilled through onto this page is it's out of date. So the analyzer's requirements is probably correct. This link to the supported rules is definitely wrong, right? That gets at GitHub pages. What are you talking about, Willis? So that's wrong. The issue tracker is correct. To build it, you need VS 2017. I don't think that's correct anymore. I don't have 2017 installed, so if it doesn't even build correctly in 2019, then obviously that's something we're going to have to fix. But either way, this README is going to have to change. There's talk about a V6 project as a startup project to debug the analyzers. I assume that still works. We're going to find out today, right? And then the rest of this, we can see that our image link here is broken. So I don't know if I've fixed some of this in the intervening 2 months. I assume that this gets pulled from the latest version of this package. Like if I were to drill into older versions of these packages, that would be kind of an indicator that, maybe I just pulled. We did change the build number structure. You can see here with 010, this is the old build number structure from, XUnit v2. This is the newer build stuff. So like if I were to go over and look at, for example, XUnit 3, it is XUnit 3, right? One of them? No. It's XUnit.v3, isn't it? Never mind. All right, XUnit.v3. Right, this is how our new builds work. They do show up here as 010 pre 400, not with a plus sign on them. So that's kind of interesting how that's different. I don't know if that matters much. Also, wow, 400 builds since I changed this version structure. That probably means I've done 500 commits since starting the V3 work. Anyway. All right, so let's get back to analyzers. Obviously, these tags are kind of broken, right? This build unknown, that's still pointing at the wrong build system as well. So we'll figure all that stuff out. So that's where we're headed today. I'm going to start in code rather than Visual Studio because I'm going to be doing the markdown stuff. And I find that the markdown stuff is more useful to me. Well, this is interesting. It doesn't know which one of these it should open. I don't know why that would be a question. There's a solution file at the root here. Why wouldn't you just open the solution file? Okay. So the README we know is out of date. Let's go ahead and throw that up in a side-by-side. So we have a new build. We have the new build tag here for actions. So that's interesting. That means that README, and this was last changed 9 months ago, so that means that README on Myga is really out of date. I wonder how we get that updated. I don't know. Because it said this was pushed July, which means the README should be up to date. I don't know where it pulls this README from, is really the question. Does it? It obviously isn't just pulling it from the project URL, otherwise it'd have a new one. Yeah, and so there's documentation link. So let's make sure that all this stuff is good. Documentation, yep, so that link is better. We link off to building MD, which is not over here either, to build. Okay, so we have a building MD. Okay, so this is talking about, yeah, the new build system. Right, that README is really old. So I really don't know what's up with that. Well, I thought we were going to have to change the README, but apparently we don't have to change the README. Myga is just out of date. Let's see if we can figure this out. Myga package README. How to README to your NuGet package. So this is new. We actually have an open feature request for this on XUnit itself. No obvious thing talking about this. Myga docs. Adding a README using Markdown. To provide your feed customers with some context on the feed or disclaimer or blah, 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 add a README to your feed. README can be written, blah, blah, blah. To link an existing README, click on the Import from GitHub link and select an entry in the pop-up dialog. Well, I'm probably not logged into Myga. In fact, I'm sure I'm not logged into Myga. Let me drop this over here so I don't accidentally leak anything I shouldn't be leaking. Give me a moment, please. Okay. Hi, hope you're well as a valid user. Your voice matters. That's great. So given this, now if I go to the gallery, XUnit, and then go back to analyzers. All right, you clearly want me to do something here. I want you to not bother me. Stop bothering me. Intercom. License, that's fine. So I don't see anything here about a README. README, using package lists. So this is all the package management stuff. So I don't see anything about a README here, about a button. README, signature. So it validated the signature from the July 1st build. Well, how come we don't have a README from the July 1st build? So it's like an admin thing. Manage feeds, create feed, manage subscription. What about manage feeds? Wow, I didn't even know that I still had this. This is from my job like 7 years ago. So that's all about me. And this is just the regular old XUnit feed. It's kind of like mass administration. I don't see anywhere here to update the README. All right, let's go back to analyzers. Let's go back to this docs page. Provide your feed consumers with some context on the feed or disclaimer. Blah. Click on the import from GitHub link. Start an entry in a pop-up dialog. Blah 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 blah. Says use this. Finally, you can add an icon. So that's probably the feed itself, as opposed to a package. Package README. NuGet package source discovery. Getting started. Build services. Getting started with NuGet. Collaboration. Figure a build source. Okay. So apparently Myga has their own build system. Did not know that. Don't care. Let's try a more Englishy search. Where does Myga package README come from? Package README on NuGet. So this is going to go back to basically the brand new feature of putting README files inside NuGet packages. I suppose we could try and put our README there. Allow domains for images and badges. Due to security and privacy concerns, NuGet org restricts the domains for which images and badges can be registered. So we use shields for the most part. Yeah, I don't know what's going on here. I think this is probably a dead end and probably doesn't matter that much. All right, well, I'll work on it another day. And then this doesn't matter. So let's go take a look at the pull requests that are sitting here. Let's one thing we're going to want to do. Let's bail out of VS Code because I really want to be in Visual Studio. All right, and then we'll see what's going on there. Okay. Let's see. So we have analyzers and fixes and tests, right? So we don't have anything about a v6 anymore, which I assume that if I were to go look in the build, wow, docs, that's actually the docs. There's a building. All right, let's just go look at building. That is not what I wanted. Try again. .NET Core SDK 5.0, .NET Core Runtime 2.1, Mono and Bash, PowerShell, build target. Okay, so nothing really exciting here. Okay. You can go away. Let's go ahead and build this. Our tests, we generally speaking have tests that I think run in both .NET Framework and .NET Core. It would help to set this up for tests. We have .NET Framework and .NET Core. I did not know that you could run these in WSDL too. That's interesting. I wonder which WSDL it would run it in, or if it just like launches its own distro for that. Okay, now I'm curious. Is it running in my default distro? I think my default distro is Ubuntu, which is what I use, which is what's running already. All right, well, okay. So if I say run this in WSDL, what are you going to do for me? Are you just going to run it in WSDL? It probably doesn't know how to do that, does it? I'm not actually trying to run it. I want to run the tests, which I guess means Test Explorer. Processor architecture, run settings, run tests for build, run tests in parallel, columns, sure. Options. Discover tests in real time. Turn that off. That doesn't work for me. It's fine. You just discover after build. Let's go ahead and run all things. They should all run. I love how the duration is like... We've been running for 5 minutes. No, you've been running for 10 seconds. I'm just really good at running things in parallel. Apparently, that's what happens when you have 24 cores. Yeah, I mean, look at that. They are reporting back what we give them back. So it would make sense that, you know, it's actually 8 minutes divided by 24. Right, that'd be about 20 seconds. That's about how long I think it took to run. Be pretty good core utilization. All right, hide the tests that are successful. All right, so everything ran. So I guess we're in a good place. Everything is working as expected. Okay, let's talk about PRs. One thing we should review, because I don't think it's ever really been talked about, is we are using a test framework provided by the Roslyn team called Microsoft Code Analysis Code Testing XUnit. Yes, this thing. Microsoft Code Analysis C# Code Fix Testing XUnit. This library makes it fairly straightforward for us to be able to write tests. So let's go ahead and look at one of these tests, right? Let's go find one that's a fact and not a theory. That'll be more. There we go. This is a good one. Okay, it does not crash for collection with different type parameters than iCollection implementation. 2 parameters. Sure. So given this source, using that, here's a test class. Here's a test method, and here's a call to action to assert.false, blah, 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 blah. And so this verifier, verify, analyzer, async with this source says nothing should happen. So we don't give it any expected results, right? The expected result is nothing. So here's another one, expected results, nothing, expected results, nothing. So I think all of these, let's go find one where we have something that's expected. Oh, I see. So we've got these markers here. This square bracket, horizontal bracket would indicate that this is a verification of some kind, but these are not great tests. Let's find some with instances where we actually do more verification. Okay, so this is a fixer test. Okay, so given this sample code, where we have an I equals 0 and presumably some assertion here, right? If we're going to assert equal I0, assert equals 0I is what it should be, and the reason this is a fix is because 0 is the expected and I is the actual, so they should be turned around, and we can tell that's wrong because this is a constant, right? Actual should never be a constant. So we expect a diagnostic with location of 8, 9. So this would be line 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Right, position 9. So that would be right here, right? So this whole line is the diagnostic, right? So what would this actually look like? Just to give an example, public class foo, right? Fact, public void test method, ri0, assert equal I comma 0, right? This is the problem, right? And so here we go. We get our green line, and this is for x unit 2000. The literal or constant value 0 should be passed as the expected argument, right? And so you can see that we have it. You know, our alert starts here on assert, and even if this were to be exactly like this, where it's like x unit dot assert, right? It would really start here. Right, so assert equal I0, this is our problem, and then what does this fix do? Well, if we ask to do the fix, interestingly, it doesn't offer the fix. I'm surprised by that. I wonder why that is. I guess maybe only the assertions are running here and not the fixes. That could be. Let's take a quick look at this. Output type analyzer reference, blah, 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 blah. Well, that's interesting. Output item type. Analyzer. Reference output assembly is true. If I do that, what is it? Does that change the behavior over here? I don't know. It does. Okay, so then that brings that in here so that we can now see what the fix actually looks like. All right, and so that's pretty much what you can see what we've done in code here is we say this needs to become this, right? And so it's literally, if I give you this whole source file, right, the fixed version should be assert equal 0, I. So it goes and it grabs the diagnostic that it knows starts at line 8, column 9, with arguments. I presume that this diagnostic has arguments in it. So let's actually go look at the definition of 2000. All right, so this is assert equal literal value should be first, right? this is x unit 2000, and then arguments that come into this. Let's see, how does this do? So we look for. See that I'm not super familiar with this code since it's been changed, so I'm familiarizing myself with this as well. So this is a diagnostic analyzer for C#. Assert equal literal value should be first. This is an assert usage analyzer base. All right, well, let's see what that means. Okay, so the initialize sets up Rosalind to say, here's what we look at. Here's what we're looking for. We want to analyze, we want to report diagnostics. We're looking for x unit assert. If we don't find x unit assert, there's obviously nothing we can do. All right, so I assume that this x unit assert is x unit.assert. Right, so we're going to find x unit.assert. Okay, register an operation action. We're looking for an operation that is a target method if it's not an ordinary method, or you're not calling assert, the names. So we're looking for assert.something. So this method names is set up as all the assert.whatevers we're looking for. So if it's not a normal method, or it's not assert, or it's not one of the methods that we say we're looking for, then we're not going to do anything. Otherwise, we are going to analyze this, and analyze is an abstract. Right? Okay, so now we come back over here. What are the methods that we want? This is interested in looking at assert equal, strict equal, not strict equal. All four of those. Okay, so if we got to analyze, we already know that we are in one of the four of these already. Okay, if it's not something that has two arguments, we don't care. So why would we want to do something like that? Well, let's go take a look at an example why I might not care. Right, so if I did that, that's a compilation failure. That's what we see with the red squiggly here, right? But you got to remember that our source analysis runs before compilation runs. So if we don't have two arguments, then we don't actually care, because assert equal, right, always has two arguments that we care about. Interestingly, though, we probably should care about the 3-argument version for comparer, right? So let's go look at this again. Oh, it's if you have less than 2 that we don't care. Okay, that's fine. So less than 2, right? If you just call with 1, we don't care. If you call with, let's go here and say 0, string comparer dot ordinal ignore case, sure, whatever. Then you can tell me you don't have strings. So now we're back to compilation failures. Compilation failures matter the most. So let's do this. Hello world. And now we're back to green. So we're back to just violating XUnit 2000. So that same analyzer works here even when we use a string comparer. Okay, good. Let's go back and look at the code. So our first arg is expected. So the expected is go get the arg named expected, go get the arg named actual. So it actually looks at the argument names when doing this analysis. That makes sense. Right? If for whatever reason, whatever we're doing, we have some assert equal that doesn't have an expected and an actual, I don't think that's going to be the case. Expected actual, yeah, it should be expected actual everywhere. But if for some reason we came up with a version of assert equal that doesn't have an expected and an actual, then we have all kinds of interesting problems. And in fact, there's a version of assert equal with strings and a whole bunch of arguments, right? So I should be able to say ignore case true, and it should still yell at me about this, and it should offer to swap them around for me, and it does, leaving all that extra stuff hanging around, right? Go ahead and swap the arguments, and then it goes away. Okay, good. I mean, I expected all this stuff to work, so I'm not surprised that it works, but I'm now sort of reiterating in my head exactly how all this stuff works. Okay, so if the actual value is a constant and the expected value is not a constant, then we want to report a diagnostic. That makes sense. So if I made them both constants, then it also makes sense that we shouldn't trip the analyzer, because what's the value of swapping a constant for a constant? Also, it doesn't really make sense to do this although we definitely do this in our actual tests of assert equal, we definitely do this. So there we go. So we report the diagnostic. So this argument thing that I don't understand yet. So we create a diagnostic, and so we have a descriptor and a location and message args. So our descriptor, this is going to be our rule, right? This is where all of our text comes from. The literal or constant value blah should be passed as expected. Xunit.net assertion library produces the best error message. Expected value is passed as the expected argument. And so all of that stuff should show up here, right? The literal or constant value world should be passed blah, 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 blah. Okay, so those things take arguments. Those descriptor messages take arguments. And so we can see that we have 0, 1, 2, and 3 as our arguments into the descriptor. Right? And so this is going to be 0, 1, 2, and 3. So this is the actual value is in 0. All right, so literal or constant value blah. Right, and then symbol display to display strings. This must be some Roslyn stuff, right? Display a symbol in the C# style. So the symbol in our case is the method that we're calling. And the literal constant value world should be passed as the expected argument in the call to assert.equal blah, 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 blah. So that's this whole assert.equal is probably would be better if I could make tooltips larger. Let's go ahead and do that. Tooltips, tooltips, tooltips. And some colors. It's going to be here, not there. I don't know why I was looking there. Tooltip. Editor tooltip. There we go. Let's try Sego 12. Let's try Sego 14. Let's see how that looks. There we go. That should make it nice and readable for you. All right. The literal or constant value world should be passed as the expected argument in assert equal blah, 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 blah. So that whole assert equal expected actual ignore case blah, 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 blah. That is the symbol formatting that's happening here, right? That's the method invocation. Symbol display format, C# short error message format with generic options, none, with parameter options, include the name. Okay. And then the parent method name in method blah on type blah. And so that's going to be the name of our test. Right, in method test method on type foo. Test method on type foo. Okay. And then this check for literal or constant is the operation a constant or is it a type of? Interesting. So a type of also sort of needs to trip this because a type of isn't a constant per se. But what they're saying is this should also trip it. So even though that's not a constant, it is kind of a constant-y thing. Certainly not something that changes at runtime. And so the offered fix for that would be to flip them around. Okay. All right. Now, I think we're all on the same page on how these things work. Okay, now let's go take a look at some of these. Now the reason I bring this up is maybe this one right here is going to be in the context of, well, I mean, it will be. This is just June of this year. This will be in context of this new code style. It's possible that this one is, but it's almost 100% sure that none of these are in the right style. And so taking in these PRs, is going to require us to adapt from the old style to the new style. And this doesn't even look like a new... Actually, let me open that up in a separate tab. This doesn't even look like it's going to be a new fix so much as it is this is pulling in code fix testing xunit 110, which we already did. Yeah, and the reason this can't be merged because the conflicts are, well, I guess it's got a conflict on NuGet config, but like we're already using 110 if I remember correctly. Sorry, I need the tests one. Yeah, so we're already using 110. So actually this PR, thanks for this. I'd already updated it before I saw this PR. Sorry about that. So we'll go ahead and close it. All right. Whoops, that is where I wanted to be. Analyzer should attempt to discover whether any member would actually be valid. So let's go take a look at this. Actually, before we do that, since it's been a couple of months since we touched this, let's see if we have stuff that's out of date. Some of these things I'm going to feel comfortable changing. Like, I'm definitely going to feel comfortable changing these things, I'm pretty sure. This I'm not so sure about. One of the reasons that we are stuck on some of these particular versions is that these particular versions, this code analysis stuff, is what allows us to work in VS 2015. And if we pull in new versions of these packages, we may stop supporting VS 2015, which actually is not a terrible idea, but let's go take a look and see if there's any information about, so nothing here about versions that are supported. Let's go take a look at the project site for the Roslyn analyzers. So, intended for projects, okay. So we're looking for analyzers. Intended for projects from analyzers and code fixes. Read more. 332. I don't understand what this symbol is supposed to mean. 332, but let's go ahead and read more. More info about the Microsoft Code Analysis NuGet package. Primarily aimed towards helping authors of diagnostic analyzers and code fix providers to invoke Microsoft Code Analysis APIs in a recommended manner. More information about the blah, blah, blah. Nothing here that talks about so this is talking about analyzers inside the analyzers package itself. Does not talk about versions and what gets supported. Let's see if there's like a general documentation on this stuff. What are analyzers? Microsoft blah, blah, blah. There's our main analyzers, primary. So these are the analyzers that people just use as developers. We are importing. Well, that's interesting. So you say that code analysis analyzers, code analysis C#. So code analysis analyzers is in analyzers. So because this is private assets, what that means is we're not shipping that. So it's probably safe for us to pick this up. All right, 332. Let's do a quick build and see what happens as a result. So that didn't appear to have any real impact on our code. That's good. So what else was out of date? So Microsoft.NET Test SDK 1611. That's a no-brainer. We just go ahead and do that. NerdBank Git versioning. So this 34220, everywhere we find that. Whoops. 34220. So that's in directory build props, which strangely enough I don't have linked here. So let's go ahead and link those in. Yeah, let's actually go ahead and link both those in here for easy editing. So build props, we pick up 34220. This is going to be 34231. Now, interestingly, like I noticed when I ran the build, I'm also pulling 34220 from that. Looks like my RG needs to dive a little bit deeper. So 34220 would be in let's do this. Close Visual Studio. Okay. So there's 34220 in our config.NET Tools JSON. Let's open this stuff up in VS Code for a bit. VS Code is a lot less intrusive than Visual Studio in terms of the files it opens and leaves locked. So I should be able to pull 231 for Git versioning as well. .NET format. So .NET Outdated, unfortunately, does not check .NET Tools. I think I can just do .NET Tool Update. I have to give it a package ID. All right, so let's say go get me the newest .NET format. And that one's up to date, apparently. And how about Sign Client? Sign Client is up to date. Okay. So what else is out of date? We also had so now I think we're just down to the things I'm not comfortable updating. Oh yeah, analyzers here, 332 for analyzers on fixes. We can definitely do that as well. So let's go into fixes. CS prod, we can do 332 there as well. All right, and then I'm just down to basically C# workspaces and C#. And those I want to be very careful about what I bring in. So let's go to the NuGet package for C# to understand what I am and am not allowed to update. So 311 appears to be the latest version. Let's go to the project site for that. Same place, isn't it? No, maybe not. So nothing here about code analysis C#. Let's dive into the docs folder. Language features, adding breaking API changes. 1.3. That doesn't actually sound like us. Analyzers. No. Compilers, C#. So this doesn't necessarily sound exactly like what we're looking for. All right, let's search for that in this repository. Nothing in code. Reduce allocations, C# command line parsing. Lots of things in issues and PRs and discussions. Oh. Nothing here. A bunch of stuff about NuGet. Code analysis in .NET. Doesn't actually include this particular thing. No clear discussion about versions. How about this? Which version of should I use? Because what I'm really looking for is something that basically says, hey, this supports this particular version, aka MS Roslyn packages. Maybe that's it. Aha, there we go. Specific versions of packages. So that's probably why we are stuck on 2.6.1, because 2.6 is Visual Studio 2017 version 15.5. That would imply that we can't use VS 2015. All of the versions, remember to select a specific language version or latest if you want to use one that is newer than default. Yeah, I think before I change anything to any of those versions, I really want to talk to somebody, because like this documentation is not clear at all. Like, yes, I should use version 4 if I want VS 2022, or version 3.8 if I want version C# 9 and .NET 5. But what isn't clear to me is whether or not if I do that, does that bring in a dependency that breaks me from working in old stuff? So like, for example, if I bring in 3.11, I absolutely need to be on Net Standard 2.0, which I'm not. Right, I'm on Net Standard 1.3. And I feel like one of the reasons is that, like, obviously VS 2015 predates Net Standard 2.0. Pretty sure. So if I'm comfortable breaking that, then I could bring this in. But otherwise, like if I bring in 3.0, 3.0 is where we start having a Net Standard 2.0 dependency. That's probably why I can't go to 3.0. But I'm not on, so I'm on 2.6.1. All right, if I went to 2.10, 2.10 is Net Standard 2.0. Well, actually, I need to look at 2.10 of this, right? 2.10 is Net Standard 1.3. So I could probably go all the way up to 2.10 safely without breaking where I'm supported. Yeah, so I'll just have to reach out to somebody and actually ask that question in a very explicit sense before I'm willing to dive into that. All right. So are we just down to just code analysis, C# stuff now? We appear to be? Okay, good. We have a dev branch. Let's stash this. Switch to dev. Dev is not up to date with main yet, so let's do merge ff only from main. And then we can stash pop. Latest dependencies. We'll run a quick build. I also have Linux over here open and ready, because before I make changes like any of these things could theoretically break on Linux, so I definitely want to make sure that everything is still running properly on Linux before I push anything into main. Okay, let's go ahead and push that, and then we'll go over here to dev, and we'll pull dev, and we'll run the build over here as well. Okay. Build looks okay. Tests look okay. All right. Okay, that's good. We'll hop out of VS Code now, because I don't think we need VS Code anymore. I think we can safely go back into Visual Studio. Okay, now let's hop into our PR here. Analyzer should attempt to discover whether any member would actually be valid. So this is fixing an issue. What is this issue? Xunit 1016, Xunit fired even if matching method. Well, that doesn't sounds like some kind of thing. Here's only look at the first method encountered rather than attempting to discover whether any would be valid. This appears to occur even if the method is completely invalid due to things like parameter lists. Member data, blah blah blah. Member data must be a public member. Member data must reference the data type assignable to blah blah blah. The reference type void is not valid. Switching the order of the public and private method here quiets the analyzer. Oh, that's interesting. Part of the analyzer being enabled, the code was successfully built and run tests, because it only looks for the public version of this and not the private version of this. So it is okay. So this is really an ordering concern. Okay. So what I expect to see then in this analyzer before I even look at it is this exact example code, and make sure that that neither of these things triggers anymore. You know, because we should be filtering out privates. Right? We should see if something is there that would satisfy it correctly, and not complain just because we found something that doesn't. Okay. So conflicts, yes. So this right here, by the way, is a hint that this is going to be old code, because we have conflicted with the implementation and the tests of this member data should reference valid member after the change. So what I think we're going to have to do with this PR in order to get it to merge and build correctly is update it to the new format. So this will be based on the old format. Okay, so what did we do? Member data should reference a valid member. Let's open up some more of that and some more of that. Some more of that, some more of that. I don't think I need to actually see all of this, but all right, so this is analyze compilation. And so what are we doing here is we're saying, go find constant value, blah, 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 blah. So if it's a constant value. All right, so this is member data should reference valid member. Let's go look at member data should reference valid member. So it looks like we had (14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21). That's the same list. So now analyze compilation, register syntax node action, register syntax node action. Actually, all of this looks very similar. Until you get inside here. I guess this all looks different. Attribute semantic model. Attribute member name argument first and then semantic model. So attribute member name argument and then semantic model. And then there's constant value. So it looks like this would go here. And it's confused because that was not here. Attribute, argument list, arguments count. And params count is the argument list counts -1. Yes. So member symbol is find a member symbol with that params count. So this was find member symbol. Member symbol, find member symbol with the correct number of parameters. So the other change here is going to be that this takes a params count. All right, so let's go look at find member symbol. This now needs to take a params count. And then this is this. Which would be this find method symbol, which is an entirely new method. Goes in here, find method symbol, which should look like this. And I'm just going to be picky on formatting because I get to be. Right. And then this is the test. Actually, this is the new stuff. Verify, verify. That's interesting. Member data should reference valid member tests. This is basically down at the bottom, right? Some tabs, some spaces. I like having this stuff out here. Or maybe we should do it like this. Right? So it'll be similar to the tests that are already here. Okay. Given that, does this test run? That's a good question. AI assisted IntelliCode for completeness, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, go ahead. Whatever. By checking the box below, you agree to license term. And the box is already checked for me. Why not, right? Submitting bills. All right. Test Explorer. I should have the ability to run tests out here, right? Do I have it turned off? Nope. Test stuff is turned on. So what's up with that? Come on, I can't run tests. Run tests. This is the new one, right? So it ran that. Just to be sure, if I were to take this part of the code away, which I think does what we care about. Now, oh, look at you. Now you have a symbol there. Run that test. And it fails. Okay, good. That's what I expected. That font for CodeLens is pretty darn tiny, isn't it? There you go. Okay. It's still kind of small, but it's good enough. I mean, I kind of want to go through here and make stuff look better. To do, handle method parameter type matching, model after inline, blah, 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 blah. Hey, there's a failure to do here. All right, so that does work. So what I really want to do is let's go look at this. This is his branch, right? Git branch remote add PR 139 to be that. Git fetch PR 139. Git log 1 PR 139. PR 139 main. No, what is the branch name? Fixed 1968. Okay. That's what I wanted. And I want to give Victor's credit for this. Let's see. I like that. Yeah, I like that. That's fine. That's perfectly reasonable commit message. Okay, let's run everybody. So I think one of the reasons, while this is doing its thing, I think one of the reasons we don't need the v6 anymore. Inline data. What was this thing called? I don't even remember what it was called. Member data should reference valid member. Member data should reference valid member. Class base, test data, test data. So this example of code here, so all of that ran correctly. So I just want to do a little backtracking here a little bit, right? Public class foo, just to make sure that I understand why we don't need the v6 anymore. Fact public void bar. Actually, no, that's not what I want. I want this actually as code. Right? So at the moment, this is yelling at me about 16 and 19. I think if I build again, it shouldn't. Data attribute. Theory. Huh. See, I would think that it shouldn't yell at me anymore. Because I have the new code. But I don't know if do I have to reload Visual Studio to pick that up? So I'm kind of curious. Let me kill this. And then let's clean. Reopen the solution. Is it upset because I actually have the thing preloaded already? Let's find out. Member data. Okay, so it's because it was preloaded. I wonder if there's a way for me to unload. Unload and reload the analyzers? Probably not. Yeah, probably not. Okay. So we should be back to nothing. Alright, so then there's that. Let's go ahead and push this. Then I can come back here and say this. Thanks. Due to merge conflicts, I ported your code here and merged it. All right, that will give me a link, right? When I come over and look at that, it will be him. And that was the code that he added. All right, and away we went. Okay, good. So I'll do that. And then I'll come over here and I'll say closed by this, fixed by this. Do that. This should say closed now as well. Okay, good. One down, a few to go, right? Allow analyzers to pass derived XUnit attributes. All right, I'm expecting these to start to get harder. I'd like to understand your use case here. Okay, so this is something that has runnable only in debugger theory attribute would be one such use case where it skips the test if not running in a debugger. The reason we are explicit about that is we assume that anybody who's going to derive from fact or theory is because they want to change the behavior, they would be adding a new test case discover. That means we can't realistically make any assumptions that we understand how new attributes work or what it expects for data. Part of me thinks the right behavior here is actually seal theory attribute, because if you're deriving from it for purposes of changing its behavior, then you may as well have derived from fact attribute instead. Actual attribute class contains no logic of its own. Interesting that I got an answer from someone who wasn't the person who opened the PR. And I was talking about sealing theory, which I may do for 3.0. Should make a note about that. Per this, should we seal theory attributes? Okay, note taken. Let's see. So this is basically looking for anything that derives from theory. So if you're a theory attribute or you're not a fact, but you are a theory, can derive from theory. Yeah, I feel like I don't want to take this. Oh, hey. Security vulnerabilities. Well, I'll come back to you. I assume that what this is saying is I need to update some GitHub Pages stuff. Right. All right. And no sorting. No sorting. Like, why does this look different? Because no sorting. Oh, because I'm not supposed to be there. I'm supposed to be here. Yeah, in retrospect, it would help if I put a T on retrospect. I'm going to close this because I believe that I'm not, let's say I'm not convinced that my take isn't correct. And this analyzer would lead to potentially incorrect analysis with no way for the user to opt out of that analysis. That is incorrect. Short of suppression. In addition, I am planning to seal theory attribute in v3 for the reason I stated above. Let's see, strongly considering sealing theory attribute in v3. So, I'm going to close this PR. Thank you, Dylan Adams, for this, but not going to do it. Fixes for surface bugs after the first fix. Okay, well, that's a little vague. Okay. It's fix made, test finds error, blah, 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 fail. The reason turned out to be a different bug that was hidden by the first bug and was found by a little luck. The root cause for this was object reference comparison of boxed values, and while there was one test case for it, finds error when duplicated by default value parameter. It used the value 1 as a default parameter value. That did not trigger the lurking bug for some reason, but other values such as 40 and 2 would trigger it. There were actually 3 similar bugs that method. I had test cases for all of them. There might be something I've overlooked. Let me know if there's something further needed here. Okay, this is from 2019. So this one, well, for starters, I assume, yeah, conflicts again. And the CI build failed, but this is back when we were running app there. That's fine. Let's see what this change was. So we need to use object equals instead of not equal. This is in inline data should be unique within theory. Inline data should be unique within theory. And let's get a little more context for this. This is our arguments equal. Okay, so that's the entirety of our arguments equal. First of all, do we still have our arguments equal? We do. Okay. So are we doing case I parameter, y method param default? We are. So that looks okay. Let's go look at the tests that were introduced. So this is inline data should be unique within theory tests. Makes sense. Inline data should be unique within theory tests. Okay, so we added this test right after it does not find error. For unique inline data method. So this is right after, basically at the bottom of this class. So this test went here. So it's going to look like that. Well, that's the problem there, right? Specially crafted inline data values that will cause blah to return some hash codes because get flattened blah ignores NP arrays. So here's an example. And what we want is this. We want this to be empty. So at this point, code source happens to be consistent. So at this point we have this, run this test. This should fail. 1 failed. Okay. And that gives us 1025, which we shouldn't have 1025. Okay, what's the other test that got added? So we replaced finds error when duplicated by default value of parameter. Finds error when duplicated value of parameter. Finds error when duplicated value of parameter. Finds error when duplicated by default value of parameter. Duplicated by default value of parameter. Yep, that's the one. All right, so we're replacing that with that. And then we're replacing the code with this. Okay, we're replacing the code with this. Oops, that's too much anyway. Replacing the code with this. And this. So this is now, this previously, this is verify diagnostics, value data 1 and 2. 1 and 2. Verify diagnostics. Okay, so what we're looking for here is, let's comment these out for a moment. (167, 187) with a warning, test method, test class. Let's see what happens when we run this test. My guess is it's going to fail. But let's see why. Why did you fail? Expected to start at 67, but actually started at 63. So we expected 167, 187, but instead got 163, 181. So one of the things I like here is that we get, like, it'll tell me this stuff. That's definitely very helpful. Okay. So now we should get 1 pass, 1 fail, because 1 is okay, but 2 is broken. 1 pass, 1 fail, okay. So 2 is broken, 1 should be okay. Mismatch between number of diagnostics returned. Okay. So now, I know I still have those 2 commented out tests, but what I really want to do now is get the production code in here and make sure that all the tests that I think are supposed to pass are passing. So this replaces this. So we use object equal. And we use object equal for x parameter default. It's here. And then this one, okay, this one goes here. All right. And then the typed constant so we should say not returns false. If it's false, return false. Oh. So this is a break now, so we can't really do this as a switch. Anymore. Can we? No, I don't think so. I think we have to go back to a switch. But I have to pull the things out that don't exist, that aren't correct anymore. That was break. Default is a false, and then a break. Oh, okay. All right, so that's a lot of changes. So let's go to Test Explorer and run everybody. Let's run everything in .NET Core. Just because it's faster. Let's see if everybody passes. Okay. So that all passes. That's good. We're happy with that. Okay. Now let's go back to this test. We have 2 tests we commented out because they are old style tests. We just need to get them converted into new style tests. Which, I don't know why I just copied the one. We'll just bring this whole thing in, right? What we want is, this is the source. So that's the source. Very likely, what that means is we just have the wrong spans, probably. right? I really, this whole group by thing is really just bugging me. How about we just group by project? Like, I drill in way too much. Okay. All right, so it should be 64 and 82. 64 and 82. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. Come back. Inline data should blah, 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 blah. Come back. Okay, let's put that comment up here. Value 1 doesn't, but 2 does. You can be a one-liner, by the way. Okay, I'll run. Okay, that passes now. Very good. Lastly, we need this. Except this is the source. All right. And run tests. Failed. $62.81. Whoops, changed the wrong one. 62.81. Run. And you've gone green. Okay. Quick build. All right. You are PR 124. It's a good sign. Okay, here 124. So this one on the master branch on this. Git remote add PR124 to this. Git fetch PR124. Git log 1 PR124 master. Okay. Git commit m something author Lori. And clauses and fixes. Kind of interesting. Let's go look at this other bug. We didn't even look at the bug. Hmm. Okay, same issue. Bunch of people saying, hey, this is still happening. All right. Oh yeah, I was looking for the message. I don't remember if I copied it or not. Forgot to add everything, and we do that, and then we will push. Yes, I know you found issues. Don't worry. Take care of it. Okay, so this is our commit here. Thanks, and sorry for the delay. Since the testing framework for analyzers has changed, it's simpler for me to port your code and commit it here. So I'll close this rather than merging it. Okay, that actually links off to the code, which didn't get closed. That's okay. Probably because it's not in main. That's an entirely reasonable thing, right? Okay. Good. I'm going to assume, let me do a quick pull and build and push this back on the main. I'm assuming if and when I push that back on the main that it'll be okay. I also want to let actions run on main so we can get a new build. Make sure our build process wasn't broken by my dependency updates. I mean, I wouldn't think so, but I don't know. We'll see. That looks good. So we can just go back to working on main. It'll be fine. Git merge, ff only from dev, push. Go back to main, we can pull. Okay, let's pop up actions. Okay, so that closed the issue. Good. So yeah, let's go to actions. This will take a minute or two, so we'll go ahead and let that run in the background while we pop up our next PR. Assert null, blah, 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 to assert contains, and others. Implements issue 1508. Okay, let's go look at 1508. Add assert null to assert contains, analyzer fix. And support for warning about first to default use within a null check assertion. Focuses on cases where first to default is a top level node in the argument expression tree. Fixer should map assert null to assert contains and assert null to assert does not contain. Should be clean in map cases where first to default has no argument. To empty and assert not empty. So example transformations. Assert null becomes does not contain. Assert not null becomes a not empty. Oh, I see. There's two. There should be more transformations here, right? So let's do more of these, right? So let's say assert null and assert not null. And then here we have a null and a not null, so this should be null, empty, right? So assert null becomes does not contain, assert not null becomes contains, assert null becomes empty, assert not null becomes not empty. Okay, let's update the comments. Okay, part of the 1504 split. Don't know what that means. 1508, 1504. And analyzer for use of link within assertions. Complicated can be, it could get complicated to be sufficient. Yeah, my general rule is that there's value in assert if it helps write terser, more expressive code, which B produces more meaningful, detailed failure messages when occur. Could you do individual? Okay. Oh, I see. So he opened 3 of these. Makes sense. And others. So what I would expect to see then is, yes, all of these. Assert null for this becomes empty. Assert not null becomes assert not empty. Assert null expression first to default expression 1 becomes does not contain expression 1. Assert not null assert contains expression. Okay, yes, that's exactly what I said in those other comments. P.S. Failing build seems to result in an issue that occurred more than 5 months ago. Maybe analysis should be refined and a warning restricted to those cases where it can be deduced the sequence will not contain nulls. This analysis might be easier with C#8. Explain the quarter cases as an exception in the warning. Yeah, okay. That's a good point. That is a good point. I don't know if I should do this. How'd our action work? Did our action work? Action worked. So there's our CI. And we did push uploading with build metadata in the version number. 010 pre-74. Okay, that looks okay then. If I come over here and I say pre-74, yeah, it's pre-74. This plus doesn't matter. Shows up as pre-74 in the package number. It's weird that it's got numbers here, but what do I know? And the README is still wrong. But it uploaded the right version, so I'm confident that that change was okay. So the action is good. Yeah. Well, let's take a look at this code. I actually don't care about the code. I care about the tests. I want to see what it looks like. Expression. Template. Sure. Certinal. Collection first or default. Should become not empty. These are the fixer tests. So I think what I would want is better messages. So I'm going to use first or default within assert.null or assert.non-null. Use empty contains instead. Oh. Yeah, I feel like I don't necessarily want to pull this one in yet. I want to come back to this. I want to contemplate on this. Collection definition classes must be public. Right now, if you forget to make it public, you the following constructor parameters don't have maxing fixture data. Fixture class fixture. The problem is the error is shown at runtime doesn't really tell you where the problem lies and how to fix it. How long it takes you to find the missing piece depends on your execute knowledge. In my case, it took 20 minutes because I made this pull request. Okay. So this doesn't have an associated issue. Of course, everything is conflicted because it's old. So there's 1027. Collection definition classes should be public. Collection definition class is non-public. Reason for the rule collection will not discover the collection definition class if the class is non-public. Fixes violation of this rule, make the collection definition class public. You know, something that just occurred to me. I don't remember. God, I hate when it does that. Why do you do that? Edge, pissing me off, Edge. So if I go to GitHub Pages, all right, so all the XUnit Analyzer stuff is here now. Okay, so that needs to get moved into the main branch, if that's going to be the case. All right, violates collection definition class. Does not violate collection definition. Lazy collection definition attribute type. Need type symbols. Definition must be made public. And a fixer. Make public. Constants. Descriptors. Tests, okay. Blank or internal. Why not private? I guess you can't really make a private class that's not an inner class. Non-public access specifier. Source expected. Okay, source expected, public partial partial. Showing you can do it as partials. I don't know why you would care about that. And then tests for the analyzer. For a partial class in the same file, when class is public, does not find the error. Partial class in other files, when class is public, does not find the error. Okay, this all looks reasonable. This is going to be a little bit more involved. Yeah, that's fine. Reload. I understand. We went between branches even though those branches were identical. You still think it changed. I'm not mad. Okay. So do we still have core context? We do. We still have lazies. That's good. Collection, definition, attribute. Lazy collection, definition, attribute. Actually, that should be under class, not above it, because alphabeticals. And you collection, definition, attribute type should be that. Then this entire thing, collection, definition, classes must be public. So we'll add class, collection definitions must be public. That's probably not how we do analyzers anymore, but let's take a look at another one. Collection definitions, class data. Go off to the side. So diagnostic, blah, 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 action diagnostic, sure, that's all fine. We just don't have a descriptor, that's fine. Analyze compilation. Should take an XUnit context. Oh, it does, that's fine. Compilation start. Context does not register any analyzer actions. Considering moving actions registered and initialized that depend on, yeah, okay. Compilation. Compilation, register syntax. Why? I'm missing usings. Let's pull in all of these usings. Register. Oh, context, not compilation. Register syntax node action on the context. Where do we use compilation? Type symbol fact I. Oh, okay. INumerable object array. I don't need that. I don't know why I have that there. Okay. Register syntax. No, not syntax node. So how do I find, what was this? No, it's back up here. Register symbol action. Yep, there we go. So you're telling me compilation action, well, compilation start action. Can you, compilation start analysis context. Compilation end, complete the parsing of a code document, completion of semantic analysis of a code document, completion of semantic analysis of a symbol. I think that's where we are. Start of semantic analysis of a method body or an expression appearing outside a method body, completion of a semantic analysis of a method body. You know what's going to be really similar to this is we should have something that basically says something like test class must be public. Perfect. This is exactly like what we're trying to do here. Okay, so we are registering a symbol action. It is a compilation start analysis context. Class symbol is context symbol. Register symbol action guaranteed by second argument. Sure, I named context symbol. Does class contain tests? Does class contain collection definition attributes? Class symbol get attributes any is assignable from collection definition. If you don't have collection definition, then return. Otherwise, report diagnostic. All right, so this might be because this report diagnostic thing is failing, and that's why it's upset. So let's go head off to descriptors. We're on our way here anyway, right? Where's our descriptor definition? So there's 1027. There's 1027. So we have rule, usage, error, collection definition must be public. So no parameters, good. Everybody stopped complaining over here, also good. Symbol kind, named type. Okay, core context is good. You can close that. So we also need, that's the fixer. I'm going to come back for that in a minute. So we need constants, XUnit collection definition attribute. So let's go to constants. XUnit collection definition attribute. That would be you. All right. You know what? I don't know if I run .NET format as part of my build. Should. Oh, yeah, I do. Okay, .NET format, check. Verbosity minimal. Very good. Okay, so there's constants. Okay, so these are the tests for the analyzer. Collection definition classes must be public tests. All right, so let's go ahead and add that. Collection definition must be public tests. That's what it was called, right? Collection definition classes. Classes must be public tests. Okay. Obviously, all of these are going to be broken because they're in the wrong format. Once again, let's go look at test class must be public tests, right? This is most like what we're already doing. Come on. I dragged you. Okay. Create facts in non-public test cases. Okay, and we'll go ahead and comment that out. For async void, so for public class does not find error. Perfect. So that looks like that. So our source is this. Okay, I'm all right with that. And then what we do is we do an await, verify, analyzer async of source. But that verify needs to be this for that. All right. Right. Okay, let's run this test. And it passed. Very good. My guess is if I were to go here, all right, comment this out, now my test should fail, right? Because we won't be reporting anything. I like to see the fail too, just to make sure we're actually doing what we think we're supposed to be doing. Oh, well, that's okay. That's right. There was nothing wrong with that code to begin with. All right, let's do this. Class action modifier. Class, and then these have to be doubled up like this. Okay. Diagnostic, verify analyzer. Diagnostic within span, those numbers are going to be wrong, but whatever. Class access modifier, let's just make that like this. So that's going to be 1, 2, 3. This is going to be line 3. It's always going to start at 0, and it's going to go through line 3. And then some number there. We'll figure out what that is. And yeah, okay. Let's go ahead and run that test. Both failed, that's what I expected, because I don't have the right numbers, right? Specified argument was outside of the line position constructor. Oh yeah, 1. Well, of course, 0 is never the right answer. Of course it isn't. Run. Still failing. You know, this window is so completely useless to me. Yeah, it's useless. So here's where we're expecting it to fail, and it didn't. That's because I commented out the code. Okay, so if I bring the code back, and then run it again, now I should fail, but because I have the spans wrong, unless I got lucky. Unexpected error detected. 3117, except it's 3132. 3117 should have been 3132. Okay, fine. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Well, this would be what, 32? Is that what it said? Did it say 32? Okay, wow. Now what? It's not 3132, it's 3732? Oh, because it doesn't have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, so sure. Because it's highlighting this and not this. It's fine. One passed, one failed. So instead of 3, 7, 31, yep. Oh, because the class is not part of it, and neither is a class modifier, this also has to be plus class access modifier. Two passed. Okay. Good stuff. I'm going to think that we don't need that anymore. That's my thought. Okay. Huh. Sure. I'm going to do this and this. For partial class in same file, when blah 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 doesn't blah blah blah, it can be a var. And we know that this is how we do empty. Okay, good. Source 1, 2, buckle my shoe. Oh yeah, that was okay. And you don't have to be down there, you can be up there, that's fine. Does not find error. Once again, that's empty, so that's this. And you should be var. Source 1 and source 2. Source. For partial classes and other files, I don't think we can do that. Can we? I don't think so, actually. Yeah, I don't think so. Given that, then this test doesn't make sense anymore. I appreciate it from a completeness perspective, but it doesn't appear that it's going to work. Internal, internal, internal. $signs, please. Part 1 access modifier. Partial class. Part 2 access modifier. Partial class. You can end there. You can end there, by the way. Okay. So now we're looking for diagnostics, so we expect this one to fail. So let's grab this. Part 1 access modifier. What did you have there before? You don't. You didn't. Okay. Start is 1, 2, 3. So we are on 3. $32 plus the part 1 access modifier length. And your var. Let's go ahead and run that test. You failed, probably because of wrong numbers, right? Instead of 37332, we got 315,340. Because of the word partial, right? 315, partial is another 8. Which is why 32 also becomes 40. Okay. The other one is also broken. That makes sense. Let's see, where'd you go? We need this one, and we need that one. And we need that one. So this is going to be this, but for part 2. And that's going to be that, but for part 2. Right? Right. Run. And they all passed. So collection definition class has an argument. Is that really true? So diagnostic create, descriptor location, arguments. Descriptor location. Descriptor location, additional locations. And arguments. Class symbol name, but I don't remember us using the argument. Descriptors. Yeah, we don't have any arguments. This should not be an argument. Nor should there be an argument here. Okay. Run everything in the class. All still passing. Very good, very good. Last test. We like it, we like it. Give me some spaces. Give me some vars. Give me some dollar signs. Oh, yeah, give me some dollar signs. That. Oh, we can't do multiple sources. Yeah, we can't do multiple sources. We already know that. So we don't need this test. Okay, that's good. So that means all the analyzers are finding this problem. It's good. Okay, so then the other half is the fixers, right? Fixer, I should say. So here's our fixer. Collection definition classes must be public fixer. Let's add a new file. Collection definition classes must be public fixer. Okay, let's go look at what test class must be public fixer looks like. Because it's going to look exactly like this. Make public, mutable array, fixable diagnostic IDs. It's our descriptor. Batch fixer. Registers code fix async root. Is the blah 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 blah. I'm going to make all this smaller just so I can see it all at once. Okay. Very good. That all looks okay then. Let's go get test class must be public fixer tests. Very good. All right. I need a 30-second Bob break, so I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. and creating the next Bible break. Okay. So we need testers. We need testers. We need tests. New. Okay. So we want to add a class here. Add a class. Tests. All right. So our PR has tests, of course, for the fixer. We'll see how this works out. This one we're going to need to comment out just because we're not ready for it yet. So what do our fixer tests look like now? Blah, internal, blah, 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 blah. We have source. We have fixed source. Yeah, whatever. And then we await a verify. Source to fixed source. And this is our verify. This is going to be collection public fixer. Can be used as type parameter to analyzers, non-plus a conversion from fixer to diagnostic analyzer. Oh, yeah. No, it's the analyzer, not the fixer. Verify code fix. We don't need the analyzer or the fixer. Be there, in which case I want you to be public class. Okay. Run that test. Okay. Mismatch between number of diagnostics returned. Expected 0, actual 1. Oh. We need some of this stuff to be here. Like this needs to be here on the class name, right? I think that's correct. That needs to be on the class name. Oh, you're up here now. Run. Okay. Make single for partial class. So this is, yeah, okay, so that's for the partial class. Very good. Partial class, you make it public. This is where our diagnostic happens. And this is fixed source. As far as I'm concerned, this can go like this. Save us some space. We should put non-public access modifier in here. Just to make sure it's doing the right thing for partials. Run this test. Theory marked with a blah. What was this warning? Does not use parameter non-public. That's my bad. That would also be why everything failed. Because I was a dumby. Well, there we go. Okay. I think that's all of it. Yep, that's all of it. Okay. Do we have a git K for this? Analyzers, yes. Okay. And build, we'll do a quick review. Sure we like the way everything looks. Test, there's our test. There's that, there's that, there's that. There's our analyzer. Placeholder rule. All right, we also need to port the docs. Oh, what's going on here? Do not push. I really don't know what that is. Actually, you know what? Shouldn't be here anyway. Should be here. And then over into our PR, there was a file that I missed. It was this one. This is 1027. Analyzers rules. New file xunit 1027md. That's this, although I shouldn't be doing this here. I now realize, because it's not easy for me to run this here. So let's not and say I did. Git reset hard. Should be doing that over here. So web pull code. Apparently my VS Code in Ubuntu is out of date. It's fine, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine, it's all good. Rules, new file, xunit 1027md. Let's try that again. That looks okay, right? That looks okay. Let's also yeah, that's fine. I need to do okay, that's all up to date. Good. Bundle exec check serve w. Some 4,000, right? Almost 4,000. And interestingly, do I have analyzer documentation? There you go. All right, 1027 collection definition class of development. I feel like the title here should be left justified. Oh, we fix that while we're here. All right. So yes, rules, index, th, TD, do we have fewer TH? You'd be left? Is that how that works? Yes, but then you'd also be bold. Actually, why aren't they all left? Table class table. Where's our CSS? Table. All right, so if you're in T-body and you're a TD, you're centered. Wrapped would be left, but it's also got a max width. Yeah, okay. So we got a wrapped wide and a wrapped. And I guess that would really be what happens if they're gigantic. So THs are also already wrapped, right? So let's come back here. TD class is wrapped. Class is wrapped. Class is wrapped. THs, how do I get the THs left aligned? TH is left aligned. So THs are centered. Oh, I really don't like this. Kind of want, like, that. I just want left. 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 What? You guys do. So why did my TDs not come out left? Oh, I know why. If I have a TH and you want left, or if I have a TD and you want left, just get left. That's it. Okay. Category usage, category assertions, category extensibility, sounds good. Okay, that looks good. Take a quick peek at that. All right, there's our left, there's our new rule. And we make everything left in the rules page. Add analyzer rule, unit 1027. You can just go up. Nobody's going to care if you get published before the analyzer is available. Okay. All my builds worked here. Nope, I need remote PR 118. PR118 is on master here. PR118, get fetch PR118, get log1 PR118 master. Jose, get commit m something author Jose. Then add XG 1027 collection definition classes must be public. Okay, we'll push you. Found a vulnerability. Security dependent on gemlock. As long as we're here, let's get rid of this problem. Like the docks are still here and shouldn't be, I think is really what the problem is. All right. Move docs. Move to the GH pages branch of XUnit. No more docs. Woohoo! That should take that away by the time we do our next push. Yeah, I'll leave you open, just in case. Thanks. Sorry for the delay. Since the source has been significantly overhauled, not halt, hello, I have ported your fixes here, which was here. And push them up. And that does actually link to what I said. And we were good to go. Good to go. Like it. Over here again. 2 more, although this one says changes requested. Let's see what's going on here. Merge conflicts, the script name should sorry, checking the script name, blah, blah, blah. I'll get back to those changes then. I've unwhipped this PR. Feel free to review when you have time. Not familiar with the XG extensive. I know people can extend fact and create their own test methods, but I'm unsure whether it would be possible to have a fact where there's a good reason for having a non-void task return type. Keep the... What is this? Test methods should not have return type. No. Well, guess what? We already added 1047. Is it possible someone could be doing something with the result of the test method invocation? But part of me thinks we should just run this on any method decorated with fact or derived attribute just to see if someone has a scenario. Worst case, the rule can be disabled by the user until we sort it out. Yeah, I'm reluctant to do that. Plus, I mean, this is void and task, but we also know value task is coming. Result in code doesn't compile. I wonder if we can improve on that. I guess it's possible someone could be doing something with the result of the test method invocation. Pardon me. Okay, I should redo that. Someone changes the method's return type. Any return expression statements remain in the test, resulting in code that does not compile instead of just being a warning. It would be nice if the fixer could convert those to simple return statements and for bonus points remove redundant ones with a control flow. Some time to implement this. Okay, so this was never resolved. Right, I mean, the last time code was pushed was up here. On reviewing this, so let me go look at the files. Okay. Sorry for the delay. Let's say sorry for the delay in getting back to this. On reviewing the code and the discussion, I have two thoughts. One, I want to be more conservative than Marchin did, I think. And am fine with it being explicitly limited to fact and theory. We definitely should be three thoughts. No, two thoughts. We definitely should be, let's see, what should we say? Three thoughts. Two thoughts. Man, I'm really conflicted on these thoughts. Let's call these opinions. I had a couple additional thoughts as well. We should open an issue once this is merged. See, I just merged in another rule as X unit 1027, so you'll need to move. A few additional thoughts as well. X unit 1028. Testing framework in use now is significantly different than it was in 2017. That's when all this was, right? 2017, yep. So tests will need to be ported. And the fixer moved to the fixer project, since analyzers and fixers live in different assemblies. Once this change is merged, we should open an issue for analysis for v3 to also allow returning value task. Definitely limit this to tests that end in v3 and not v2. I understand if your interest in this is long gone. Again, apologies for the delays. If that's the case, feel free to just chime in and say you'd rather not make the changes. And I'll look for some time in the future to do them myself. I feel like this is a valuable feature. Thanks. Okay. All right, add ability to view code coverage. Ability for users to generate and view code coverage reports for Axiom analyzers using OpenCover and report generators. Easy as navigating, blah, 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 blah. View coverage. Script will call that in a test with OpenCover, generating results XML, then generate a report in blah, blah, blah reports, Axiom analyzer tests. Open in the browser. For infrastructure PR, this contains a lot of code changes. Let me explain why. OpenCover mysteriously says everything is 0% coverage when test targets 452. They changed to target NetCore app 1.1 in order for code coverage to work. This destiny upgrading version of code, blah, 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 so upgraded to latest. It's required changing exchange analyzes target 1.3. Analyzes v6. Okay, upgrading netcore app 1.1. Also made some things not compile. Also screwed up the references in code analyzer helper, causing all the tests to fail since type of object assembly location is no longer MS core lib, but system private core lib and ID allow. Logic there. Wow. Ignore the white space changes. Instead, the core action console. And just okay. With the new, is this PR still relevant? What is required to enable it in a new build system? Did not get back to me on that. This one's going to be a giant cluster. So I'm not going to do that today. So that means we're left with these three. This one, did I put a comment on this one? I did not. Because I wanted to think about whether or not I actually wanted this. So the comment here about those expressions are not equal when the sequence contains a null value as the first element. Similar here when the sequence contains a null with satisfies. Okay. Those might be corner cases, but it should be clear that this is changing semantics. Yeah, the more I think about this, the more I think I don't want this. Yeah, sorry for the delay. Going back to this. The more I think about it, I think I'd rather not take this. Because it's changing the semantic meaning. Something that's not 100% equivalent. I don't think we should make this recommendation. It's not a case of the code being wrong, but rather a case of the code being potentially harder to read than it needs to be. In general, I would be okay with making code easier to read, especially to introduce people, introduce developers to assertions they may not realize exist. But in this case, because we can't guarantee the fixed code is always identical to the original code, I think we're better off just letting it fail. We're better off just not doing it. That's what I meant to say. Just not doing it. And I'm going to close it. And I'm going to go to 1508. I left this comment on the PR for this issue. And since the philosophical objection is based on the bug itself and not how the code is implemented, I'm going to close this issue. Okay. So basically, these two PRs are now sitting here waiting for changes. So what's involved to get code coverage to work? So enabling code coverage with MS Test. Let's say VS Test. So I feel like right now, all right, let me just open up a new prompt. There's already a 1, of course. There's already a 1. I always do things like that. And .NET new XUnit. So this gives me coverlet collector. Net 5.0. So what do we target? We target 2.1 and what? In our tests. Okay, that's dumb. Why did I do that? Should have just double clicked. 2.1 and 4.7.2. .NET SLN add. .NET add. New SLN. Hello. .NET SLN add. Dot. Let's go look at the CS proj file. Let's do the target frameworks. I really don't care about that. Your 16.11. I have no idea if coverlet collector is outdated there or not. I guess we'll find out, won't we? 3.1.0. .NET restore. .NET test. Collect. From the name of the data collector. No, I don't think that's it. I want code coverage. Okay, let's try this instead. .NET test coverlet. How to get code coverage. So coverlet.NET test, blah, 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 blah. Collect coverage is true. Collect coverage is true, huh? I think if I just do .NET test, I'm not going to get code coverage, right? Bin, debug. There's the coverage shim, but no sense that I actually got any reports. If you're using coverage collect, I'm sure that was a coverlet collector. Generate separate test results file for each project. New report generator tool. Collect explat code coverage. .NET tool install a global .NET report generator. Global tool. Yeah, I'm not going to do global. I'm willing to do that here. Can I find a manifest file? .NET new tool manifest. .NET report generator. A report file. Report generator, reports, base directory, blah, 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 blah. Oh, so we got test results. Okay, we don't know which one is which. No target directory, so let's do reports. Reports would be here. Target dir. Target dir can be here. Port types cobertura. Don't know what that is. Okay. Coverage reports. Line rate, branch rate, lines covered, lines valid, branches covered, branches valid. Okay. Tell me nothing got covered, but I think that's probably because let's try this again. .NET new SLN. .NET new tool something or other. What was that? Tool manifest. .NET tool install. How about report generator? Okay. Kind of curious what that global tool thing is. It's fine. All right. .NET new class lib o library. .NET new xunit o library tests. .NET SLN add library. .NET SLN add library tests. Okay. Oh yeah, also .NET outdated. Dynafier. Carla Collector 310. And test SDK is 11. Oh, good. And here we want net 472, net core app 21, target frameworks. Yeah, go ahead, reload. Okay. Everybody builds. Class 1. Public static int add params int values. Alright. Result is 0. Value and values. Result plus equals result value. There's probably a link way to do this. I'm sure. What are you offering to do for me here? Explicit type instead of var? No. Hell no. And what is this? What? What is this? When did this become the norm? Huh? I really don't understand that. Assert equals 0. We need to add a reference. Add a project reference. Identifier. The library. Class 1.add. Why? Project is not compatible with Net 472 or Net Core App 2.1. Sure. Net Standard 2.0. Now everybody died of fire. That's great. Don't know what the fuck this is. This really bothers me. What is the timestamp now? 3:07:59. Annoyed at 3:07:59. Send a note to Claire and say, do you know what this is? Do I blame you? Who do I blame for this? Okay. Test Explorer. Build stuff. Run it. Nothing's running. Why did nothing run? Run stuff. 2 passed. Show me everything. Oh, I just had a bad filter. I'm dumb. Okay, so is there like a code coverage? No, it's playlist, live unit testing, group by, expand, collapse, options, run failed, repeat last run. All right, so nothing here talks about code coverage. So if I were to say .NET test here, okay, now we've got stuff getting covered. %. No arguments. And I understand why that would show 50% because, of course, two arguments. I know I should do one argument. If I was being a good developer, I'd do one argument. Attachments. 100% code coverage. Okay. Yeah, I don't see what the big deal is. I also don't care about this. Really what the fundamental problem is. I don't care about this. Yeah, okay. Don't care. Don't care. I think I'm going to call it, right? We've been at this more than 3 hours, so I'm going to call this, or just basically 3 hours. 3 hours and 6 minutes, give or take. Right? Okay. Well, thanks for hanging out today. Got a bunch of PRs merged. I think I'll probably do a new release of the analyzers. It's been quite a while. A lot of stuff went into 0.11 so far. I've never done a release since I moved to GitHub Actions, so there's going to be some experimentation that needs to go on in order for me to figure out exactly how to do a release build in GitHub Actions. So I'm not going to, I already did enough struggle bus stuff today on stream. I'm not going to bother to do the future struggling, trying to figure out how to do the GitHub Actions to do my release build and push it up to NuGet. I'll do that off stream. So anyway, thanks for hanging out today. It's been a good time. I'll see you next time.